Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles, your favorite true crime podcast. I am Donnie, and with me is a man that doesn't know why there's something almost intoxicating about drinking 14 beers. It's Dale.
It's just something about it.
It's just, yeah.
Just something about it. It's just right on the tip of your tongue.
It's just intoxicating.
Back of your throat, I don't know.
It is. What's going on, dude?
You know, same old, same old.
Same old 2025, back in the Crack House.
Man, getting ready to get her started.
Yeah, we took a week off, but I had to recuperate from my yearly man flu.
Yeah, and you couldn't talk for a week.
I couldn't. I lost my voice, dude. I mean, I couldn't talk.
Bad part is, well, you didn't feel that bad. You
No.
just kind of like, don't feel bad. Just can't talk.
Like my wife says, you got the little man flu.
Man flu.
Yeah.
Well, then by the time you got over that, or trying to get over that, I had some stuff going on, and we just decided it'd be a good time to charge some batteries and get ready so we can go full blast this year.
Exactly. We do apologize for that, but we had to do what we had to do.
That's right.
But we're back and got a great episode. You got any good shout-outs for anybody you want to talk about, dude?
Man, he's talking about. Look at that.
Man.
We got a brand new Apple Podcast 5-star review, and this comes in from Susie Era Vintage.
Ooh.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Says, calming for disturbing content.
Oh, good gosh.
Just found you guys and have been binging for the last week or so. Got to say, love the podcast. Love listening to you two tell stories. Your voices are calming even though the content is disturbing, but hey, it's true crime, and let's face it, people are disturbing sometimes.
People are disturbing.
Thanks so much. Very cool.
That
We
is very
appreciate
cool.
you, Susie Era Vintage.
Susie Era Vintage.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't
It is cool. Cool
yeah,
name.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you taking the time to do that. It really helps out. Thanks.
And if anybody else wants to be like Susie Era Vintage,
There you go.
you can go to Apple Podcast and leave a 5-star rate and review.
Please.
You have to write something in the box for us to get a notification, and you will get a big old shout out. And you can also leave a 5-star on Spotify. And if you just scroll up on each episode, scroll up from the bottom, there's a little text box there. You can actually write something about each episode.
Right.
Comment or whatever you want to.
And if you want us to say it, shoot us a message or something, because it won't give us an alert.
Yeah, just
I wish it would, but it doesn't.
yeah. Or you can email us or message us on Facebook, and
Yeah.
whatever you want to do, we'll talk to you.
Well, yeah, we like that.
Yeah, we do. We dig it.
Also, if like she said, she just found it. You guys share it with your neighbors.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the easiest way to get it over. Seems like if you guys find it, you guys like it, and we appreciate that, and we like you liking it.
Yeah, it seems like, we've talked about this. When people find us, they stay with us.
They stick around a while, don't they?
They do, yeah.
I don't know if it's because they're asleep or not. Might be.
Listen,
We're so calming.
Listen to our calming
Either going to
voices.
work or going to bed. We don't matter. Just put it on and let her play, baby.
Yeah, let her play.
Just get her in your head.
Yeah, just a
There you go.
couple,
We need a shirt. There you go.
couple
Going to work,
Southern boys, yeah.
going to work, going to bed. Put it on and keep it in your head.
Yeah, that could be on a shirt for sure.
There you go.
All right, Dale, after this short break, we'll get back and get in our episode, dude.
Let's roll.
All right, Dale, we are back. And we got a crazy case, man, starting out for 2025.
Well, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in this, that's for sure.
But before we get into this, we're talking today about the murder of Emma Walker.
Yes.
But got to doing some research on this, and I got to looking at some dates on this.
Man, it's crazy.
And something kept triggering in my head about this, and I got to looking at the dates. And back last year of 2024, we covered there at Thanksgiving time the Joel Guy Jr. murders. He went in on his family and murdered them right at Thanksgiving because they were about to boot him out and, cut him off.
Yep, they sure were.
Well, he killed his parents, but looking at the dates on this, he killed his parents right there at Thanksgiving in 2016.
That would be episode 240.
Yes.
Yeah.
This episode we're doing today happened just a week prior to that Joel Guy Jr. murders in the same town.
Yeah. Pretty close.
Yeah, I've done some research, and they lived about 19 miles apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm sure some of the same detectives and some of the same law enforcement work probably both cases.
Yeah. And you guys listen, want to talk about it, hit us up.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
But we are talking today about the murder of Emma Walker.
Yes.
And just a little bit of background on Emma Walker. She was born Emma Jane Walker on March the 20th of the year 2000.
Wow.
In Knoxville, Tennessee. And her parents are Jill Walker and Mark Walker. And Emma had a younger brother named Evan.
Mm-hmm.
And Emma was involved in all kinds of stuff from the early age. I mean, she was doing all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And she got to high school there in Knoxville, Tennessee. She was going to Central High School She entered as a freshman in 2014.
Right.
And she was involved in a bunch of stuff. She was involved in cheerleading. She was a member of the Health Occupation Students of America, the Beta Club, all kinds of clubs and organizations.
It's another case, man, where the girl, or well, not necessarily the girl, but the victim in our story is really bright and way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Said she was really into gymnastics when she was young, and she really wanted to be a cheerleader, and she was the only 14-year-old, the only freshman to make the squad.
Yes.
And excelled.
The varsity squad, yeah. As a freshman, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so that, and then, she wanted to do that. She was also doing all this stuff while working a job or a part-time job and volunteering at an animal shelter.
Yeah.
All at the same time.
And she loved babies.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody that had a baby, she was all in.
Yeah, and so when they got to talking about what were you going to do in college, anytime it got to do anything to do with the babies, that's when she decided she really wanted to do a neonatal nursing.
Yeah.
So she already had a plan. A lot of her friends said she had her stuff together. She had a course planned out and ready to go and knew exactly what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So in that fall of 2014, she was a freshman at Central High School, and she was on the cheerleading squad.
Mm-hmm.
And she was at ball games and different things. And this one, she caught the eye of a football player.
Yes.
Yes. His name was Riley Gall.
William Riley Gall.
Yeah. And he was a junior that year. And he was a wide receiver for the football team.
Right.
Yeah. And they got to talking a little bit, and they hit it off pretty quick.
Yeah, they did.
They did.
Well, except for he had a girlfriend already.
He did.
Yeah.
But he had told Emma that he was breaking up with her so he could date Emma.
Right.
Yeah.
I think he was 16 at the time. She was 14. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. And what he didn't tell Emma was that he had also promised this ex-girlfriend of his that he was going to take her to the prom. And he was going to honor that, what he told her.
Yeah.
And Emma...
So he was going to take this other girl this year, but I'll take you next year.
Yeah. That's what he told Emma.
Right.
And she wasn't okay with that.
No, but she let it happen.
She did.
Yeah.
And this is coming from some of her friends.
This is that blind love stuff, man.
Yeah, and she was all into this guy. I mean, he was a handsome guy, and the girls liked him, and these two kids, Emma and Riley, I mean, they were a cute couple.
Well, it's kind of like the proverbial power couple here. We got the hot shot football player and the cheerleader,
The cute cheerleader, yeah.
Right, yeah. So, they're done fell head over heels for each other, and she had the super crush on him. All of her friends said, even before they started, being together, that she just had this massive crush on him.
Yeah. So they were an item, but over the next couple years, they would stay together, they would break up, they would have arguments, fights, and it was getting to the point where Riley was becoming controlling of Emma.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It was described, when Riley would come over to the house to see Emma, Jill, this is Emma's mom, she described Riley as very polite, nice in the beginning, and very likable.
Yeah, the boy next door,
Yeah, just
that thing.
Yeah, just playing it up. Well-mannered and just doing his thing. But Riley,
well, that's always how it starts, right?
Yeah, he lived with his mom and his grandparents.
Right.
He was raised by them.
Right.
Yeah, and Riley was an honor student.
We don't know where the dad was.
No, we don't.
I don't ever see it anywhere.
Yeah, but Riley was a popular jock, and he was involved in a lot of things, and was a top student, and he loved to play video games and was kind of nerdy.
Yeah, which made him like a hybrid athletic nerd kind of guy, because even his friends said that they'd got together because they were all nerdy. They liked video games, Star Wars movies, this kind of thing. He said, but then they got more into high school and he got more into football, but he never left his nerd roots, is how they explained it. So they were still remained friends, even though he was the big time jock.
Yeah, but Riley was becoming a little obsessive with Emma. He would tell her about the clothes she was wearing, wouldn't let her wear certain things, or commented on it, and didn't want her to wear certain things, and didn't want her hanging out with certain friends, and he was becoming controlling of her, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very narcissistic.
Yes. And like I said, their relationship for those couple years were on and off.
Yeah, with the breakups becoming more and more turbulent.
Yes, it was, yeah. But eventually, Emma attempted to end her relationship with Riley, and he refused. He sometimes even threatened to commit suicide.
Right.
If she broke up with him.
Well, this is like, hey, look at me. I need a little attention over here.
Yeah. And her parents were noticing this.
Oh yeah, looking from the outside.
Yeah, it was a little bit of toxic behavior.
Well, in anything that she wanted to do is like, if she wanted to go hang out with her friends, then he didn't want to go, but then he didn't want her to go. And first she just said like, well, he's just shy and, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then it kind of got a little more where he didn't want her to go anywhere without him. And then
she was making excuses for him.
Yes.
Yes.
And then if she did actually get to go with her friends anywhere, he would call her up, they said up to 40 or 100 times, you know, just depending, just unlimited text saying, call me, do this.
Emma.
Yeah, just basically just staying up her butt, you know what I mean? Just
yeah.
Constantly you can't get away. Yeah. And I think that's just basically talk to me, don't talk to them. Talk to me, don't talk to them.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way he can keep her under control.
A controlling relationship. And when he would come over to the house, they could come over and they could hang out, but it would be a supervised visitation.
But you know, I'm sure it mostly wasn't until it got bad, and then they're like, look, we got to just set some ground rules here.
Yeah. And during the times they were broke up, she would be off with her parents doing certain things at a ball game or church or something, and he would show up.
Yeah. When they didn't want him to.
Yeah.
But it would be like at church where they really can't say you can't come here.
Exactly.
Or a basketball game where, you know, it's public place. You can't really tell him. But, you know, you can tell him you can't come to my house. But, you know, he still was finding a way around everything. And even it got so bad at one point they even took her phone away. But Riley had given her an iPod Touch, right?
Yes, he did.
So as long as she had Wi-Fi, they could still communicate.
Yeah.
And there was even reports of him even sneaking into the house.
Yeah, I'd heard that too.
Hang out with her, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah. And I think he would actually show up outside her work.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And
Sit
wait
there for hours. Yeah.
And wait for her.
Yeah.
And watch her.
It's creepy as heck, man.
It is. I mean, and she would make excuses for him.
Mm-hmm.
But Riley did graduate high school. And he went off to Maryville College there in Tennessee. It was about 19, 20 miles away from Central High School there in Knoxville, where Emma was still a junior.
Right, that's Maryville if you live around here.
Yeah, Maryville.
That's where my great-grandparents live.
Okay, cool. So that's some close connection to you then, yeah.
Yeah, neat little tidbit there.
Yeah. So at this time when Riley went off to Maryville College, they were off. They weren't, well, I think they were
still on.
Talking.
Yeah, because she was like, I wish you would come back. I miss seeing you every day, and this kind of thing. But then one day she saw some photos on his Snapchat. I don't know how that works. Snapchat feed, filter, whatever. That was him and a bunch of different girls.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the final straw for her. She's like seeing what's going on here.
Mm-hmm. So she ended it with him.
Yeah. And he did not take it well.
No, he even went into a depression state, and some of his friends said that he tried to commit suicide or took a bunch of pills and drunk a bunch of alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was always...
a bunch of Vicodin and some alcohol, yeah.
Yeah.
And they had to get his stomach pumped. But a lot of them were saying they just thought it was for dramatic purposes, and they wasn't sure if he was really, really trying to kill himself.
Yeah.
And with that kind of personality, I would say it's more of an attention thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know. I ain't never took a handful of Vicodin.
No.
Much less. But, you know, just kind of way it seems to me.
Yeah, exactly. So around Halloween of 2016, Emma's parents was allowing her to leave the house and go to school in cheerleading.
Right. They had grounded her when it got really bad with him, and they were trying to get him separated, and they had taken her phone away with that iPod Touch and all that stuff. Finally, they said, okay, screw it. You're grounded, and you can't go anywhere except for you can go to church, you can go to school, and you go to work, and you come home, and that's it.
Yeah.
And, you know, all that was going on. And so, you know, after they had broken up, and I guess a while, they decided that they were going to let her go out after a football game and celebrate a big win.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they were going out. She was going out to kind of a party and then an after-game celebration and then a sleepover or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was really happy and she was going over.
And her parents, Mark and Jill, said during this time, Emma was great.
Oh, yeah.
She was very social. She was eating dinner with them.
Come out of her room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was just the old Emma.
Yeah, so I was so happy to have her back.
Yes, exactly, because Riley was gone. Everything was great. So we're moving up to Friday, November the 18th of 2016.
All righty.
And this was when Emma was allowed to attend a gathering at a friend's house.
Correct.
This is I guess it was some kind of sleepover or some kind of little party thing.
It was after game party, and then I think the girls were having a sleepover.
Yeah. And it was around 11 p.m. that night. There was some friends and classmates of Emma's arrived at the house where they were hanging out, and Emma, she pulled one of her friends aside and told him that she'd been receiving some strange text messages from a number that she didn't recognize.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I forget his name. It was a guy.
I think his name was Zach Green.
Zach, yes.
Yeah,
that is
it was a male
correct.
friend of hers.
Yeah, Zach is right. Basically, I think he said he was coming out of the bathroom, and I'm assuming if that's true, she was probably in the hallway looking at these messages, and when he just happened to walk out, and then she showed them to him.
Yeah.
I think that's how it worked.
Yeah. And she showed him her phone, and one of the messages said, "Go to your car with your keys, and then go alone." And another one says, "I've got someone you love. If you do not comply, I will hurt them."
What the hell?
Yeah. And this is when Emma's friends told her that it was one of Riley's friends playing a prank on her.
Now, they're at somebody else's house, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And she texted back threatening to call the police.
Yeah, leave me alone.
Yeah. There's another text message that said if you'd like to hear his crying and screams, give him a call. That was what one of the messages said.
Well, she got a call because they actually had a voice call where somebody was saying, but you could hear Riley in the background. Oh, don't hurt me, blah blah, whatever he was saying. And then she's like, "We got to go out and see what's going on."
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous.
And then one of the messages said they've dropped Riley outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Emma and her friend Zach, they went outside, and sure enough, there was Riley
In the ditch.
lying face down in a ditch next to the house. And you could see him there from the street lights. Yeah, and it was Riley.
Yeah.
And he got up, pulled himself up, and had his hands on his head and just seemed confused looking.
Yeah, rubbing his head like, "How did I get here? What's going on?"
Yeah. And why are you here? And I don't know what happened. And I've been kidnapped. Someone dropped me off here.
So I don't know. Let's just stop right here for a second, because I'm thinking, okay, listen, you're trying to pull off his kidnapping gimmick. They just happen to take you to where she's at a party, and you're going to call her and say, "You better come out here inside and see him, or we're going to hurt him." And you go outside, and he's the only one there laying in the ditch with his phone.
Yeah.
Come on, man. There ain't nobody believing this.
Yeah.
God almighty. This is just ridiculous. I mean, you could have done a lot better, because, I mean, just the fact that they're outside the house where she's staying is bad enough, but all the rest of it on top of it is just the pile.
Yeah, exactly. And even he had a couple close friends, they didn't believe he'd been kidnapped.
Well, no. Well, even after she got really pissed off and told him, "We're broke up, leave me alone, get out there," so he just had to walk off. I don't know how he got there, because, unless he was parked down the road or something. But he said he just kind of went walking down. But I think he called one of his friends or something to come pick him up. And if that was the case, I don't know how he got there.
No.
Because I think it's when his friend Noah come and picked him up.
Noah Walton,
or he was with him. And I'm not sure how that worked either. He came pick him up, or I don't know. It just he was with him later. And then he got to telling him the story about the kidnapping. So Noah was like, "Well, let's call the cops." And no, he didn't want to call the cops. So then Noah's like, "Well, this is all a bunch of crap." He didn't believe it either.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's about the most ridiculous story.
That is just, yeah. So they parted ways. Riley left.
Yeah. She went back in and kind of got to put that in the back of her mind and went ahead to have a good time.
Exactly. So the following morning, after this party that Emma went to, she went home.
Yeah, because she was supposed to go meet her mom somewhere and do some stuff.
Yeah, and then she texted her friends saying there was a stranger at her house, there at the doorstep.
Well, first she saw him walking around the road. She had taken one of her friends home in the neighborhood and then drove back to her house, but had seen a guy walking down the road in all black. Black hoodie, black glasses, black pants, black shoes, black shirt.
Had his hoodie over his head, strings pulled tight so you couldn't see who it was.
Right.
And this person in black came to the door and rang the doorbell over and over again.
Yeah, and started twisting the knob and beating on the door, scaring Emma to death, because she was there alone.
Yeah. And Emma was texting her friends thinking that she was going to die.
Yeah, scared to death. And since she had tried to get a hold of her parents, couldn't get a hold of nobody, so what did she do?
She texted Riley.
Yeah.
And she texted Riley saying, this is quote, "I hate you, but I need you right now."
Yeah.
Yeah. And he texted her back, said, "I'm coming. I'm speeding. Just give me a minute," when he texted her back.
So I want to know how far did he live from her house? Like, say, because I'm saying, I really believe this is him walking around the neighborhood, but if he weren't, I mean, how long would it take him to get there if he were home? You know what I mean? That's what I'm looking at.
Well, he was in college, and Maryville College.
That was 30 minutes away.
Yeah, about 30 minutes away.
But I'm just saying where his stepdad lived.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hadn't heard that.
His mom and his grandparents.
But he had to be in the darn neighborhood.
Yeah.
I mean, and did he show up wearing black clothes, or did he run back to the car and change clothes and come over?
I think he went back to his grandparents because, and his mom's, because we're going to get into that just a little bit later when they do some stuff. But yeah, I think that's where he was.
That's why I was wondering how far away that was, because it wasn't long until he shows right back up. And he went and checked the house and went around and checked everything and went around the neighborhood and didn't see anything.
Yeah.
And by that time, Emma's mother shows up because she was worried because Emma never met her. You know, like I said,
For that little thing they were going to do.
They were supposed to do something, so Emma was going home and get ready and then go meet her, but she never showed up. So her mom got really worried and went home. And when she pulls up, there's Emma standing in the yard with Riley standing beside her with his arm around her.
And Jill, this is Emma's mom, her first thought was, "You're kidding me. He knows he's not allowed here."
That's right.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Yeah, sorry, you need to get out of here. You know you're not allowed here." And he goes, "No, I'm here to help."
He said, "I'm making sure Emma's okay because there was somebody here that scared her."
Yeah. And she goes, "Well, you know you're not allowed here and you need to leave."
And Jill could see that Emma was visibly shaken.
Oh, yeah. She was scared to death.
Yeah.
She really thought that was a burglar or something, or some kind of stalker trying to get in. She would not believe at all that there was no way in the world that could be Riley or he could be involved at all.
But Jill, Emma's mom, wasn't convinced at all.
No, she's smarter than that.
No, yeah.
She's not love blind.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get that attention, and it's working.
So
he can be the hero. That's basically what he's trying to do.
Trying to be the hero, yeah. So the next Sunday night, things sort of seemed to get back to normal at Emma's house.
Yeah.
Emma texted one of her friends.
And this is all the same weekend, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Emma texted one of her friends about a homework assignment and then went to bed a little after midnight that night.
When he said that, I'm like, holy moly, midnight.
Yeah.
No way.
Heck no. So sometime after midnight, after Emma went to bed,
yep,
Emma's dad had heard something in the middle of the night. He actually thought it was a door slamming in the house.
Yeah, he thought it sounded like someone was in the house and slammed the door. And it actually, I think what happened is he heard one and it probably woke him up, and then he heard it again. Yeah. So he's like, what the hell's going on? He thought, like you said, somebody was in the house slamming the door. So he just jumped out on instinct, jumped out to go check on his kids.
So he did. He went into the bedrooms, opened up Evan's room, looked at him, stood there and stared at him for a few seconds.
Yeah.
He was asleep. Everything was good. Then he went to Emma's room, opened the door, and Emma was laying there asleep.
Said he looked at her 15 seconds, 20, sitting there. Everything looked okay. Nothing was disturbed. They were still sleeping.
Yeah, then he walked around the house checking the doors, making sure everything was locked up.
Yeah, he said, dang, I must have been hearing something, or maybe I dreamed it or not. I don't know. But so he just went back to bed.
Yeah, went back to bed. And the next morning, it was just a little after 6 a.m.
Yeah, he had already gone to work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this was on a Monday, November 21st, just a little after 6 a.m.
Everybody's getting up, Jill works at the school system too.
Yeah.
So everybody's got to get up and go to school.
Yeah. So Jill goes into Emma's room to wake her up.
Correct.
She bumped her leg and didn't hear anything, and then tried to wake her up, and then she looked at her face and realized that something was wrong.
Yeah, something's not right here. She's not budging.
Yeah, she was pale and her lips were blue.
Yeah. And usually she's the easy one to get up. You just go in there and say her name, her rubber leg. Like she said, she just pops right up. This time, nothing. And when she got to looking at her, she knew something was terribly wrong.
Yeah. So Jill checked for a pulse, and there was no pulse.
Right.
And this is when she called 911.
Mm-hmm.
And she was pretty frantic. You can listen to this 911 call online. You can find it. But she was pretty frantic. She was telling the 911 operator she's non-responsive, and you could hear her crying and screaming. And,
she was losing it, yeah.
Yeah. The operator asked her how old she was, said she was 16.
Mm-hmm.
And the police got there right away. The police were sent to the Walker house, and the Knox County Sheriff's deputy, her name was Nikki Bules, B-U-L-E-S, and she was also the lead forensic technician on the case, said the call originally came in as a possible suicide, Dale.
It's really weird because I wonder why it came across that way, unless just because she was, really healthy and happy 16-year-old, with no health problems at all. I guess maybe that's the only thing they thought maybe could have happened,
Yeah, because they noticed a little blood spot on the pillow.
Just a small one, yeah.
Yeah. And when the sheriff's deputy Nikki got there, she started photographs on the outside of the residence. She walked in, photographed the interior of the house, walked into Emma's bedroom and photographed the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they noticed there was a hole in the wall.
Yeah, just a small hole.
Yeah. And it appeared to be a bullet hole.
Yes.
And it was that point they knew it was probably not a suicide.
I'd say.
Yeah. And this when the Knox County Sheriff's lieutenant, his name was Alan Merritt, he arrived on the scene, and he said he started looking outside the house and noticed a bullet hole in the wall that was about shoulder high.
Yeah, if you're outside on the ground.
Yes.
Yes.
And we got pictures of all this stuff, and we got some forensic pictures we can show you of all the angles and different things.
Yeah.
But he said it was just a small bullet hole.
You know, about the size of a ballpoint pen, he said.
Yeah. And then also he located 2 shell casings outside the home.
Right. Well, he went out there and looked, you know, when they seen to go see where the one they saw, which was like if you were laying in the bed, it would be like it's kind of like, say, basically her house. If you're looking at the house from the front, her bedroom would be in the left side rear corner.
Yes.
And then her bed was also in the left side rear corner, with the headboard to the left and the side of the bed to the rear of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And the hole that they saw would be the one from the rear of the house, which would come right beside her pillow into her head.
Yeah.
Which is what happened. When they saw the hole in the wall, they knew they saw the entry wound, and it was about 1 inch behind her ear and 1 inch up.
Yeah.
And just a single hole in her head, and that's where the blood had came from.
Yeah. So
At
this
first, you know, like you said, they thought maybe she had taken something and made her throw up some blood is all they could think till they saw the hole, and then they realized what was really going on.
Yeah. And this is not a brick home or anything like it. It's a vinyl siding home, so a bullet would penetrate that.
Fairly easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they got to looking. They found a casing out there, and then they got to looking on the other side of the house, on that left side, and there was also a hole there.
Yeah.
Basically, so you got one coming in one way and one coming in the other, and they're both fairly close to the corner, basically to where it would be pillow height.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
But the headboard was up against that wall, so they did find a second slug, but it was in a pillow, I think.
Yeah.
And they also found a live round.
They did.
And I'm thinking, probably what happened there is the gun, I'm assuming it probably already had one in the chamber, and he probably didn't know.
Probably.
So when he pulled the slide back,
Ejected it.
It ejected it, and either didn't know or didn't care to pick it up.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
So basically, Emma had been killed by a gunshot wound to the head with 2 bullets that had been fired into her bedroom from outside.
Yes.
And their house was a single-story home.
Mm-hmm.
And like Dale said, one bullet hit her behind her left ear, and the second one lodged into her pillow.
Yes.
And once the detective got there, the parents were asked to leave the residence.
Yeah.
So obviously this had turned into a crime scene.
Yeah, it went from
at
a
that point.
suicide thing to a murder
Yeah.
investigation right there.
So as Emma's parents were leaving the house, they had no idea what had happened to Emma.
Right.
They didn't know. And when police started interviewing Emma's friends and family members that day, the detectives said that there was a name that kept popping up over and over again.
Over and over.
Yep, and everybody was giving us the name Riley Gall because of their relationship.
Yes.
And because the way they had seen Riley, the way he had treated Emma, and the way he talked to her.
Yeah, especially with all this weird kidnapping and stalking and stuff going on.
So at this time, Emma had been murdered that morning. Riley was back at campus on Maryville College.
Yes.
He was already back on campus. And when he was waking up or getting up that morning, people were messaging him saying, you know, we're so sorry. You know, he was like, you know, thinking, what's going on? Then he got to looking that Emma had died.
Yeah. He said he had no idea.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. So this is when Riley, he took to social media to mourn Emma.
Mm-hmm.
And he was posting a series of tweets and lengthy Facebook posts. And there was in one tweet he wrote, "Rest easy now, sweetheart. I love you forever and always." So what stood out from these tweets immediately was the repetitive nature of him saying, "I love you, I love you, I love you."
Oh, yeah. And he changed his bio to "Living My Life Through Emma" and
That's what he was saying, yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah. And Emma's friends and family, they were devastated.
Oh, yeah.
The night after her death, they held a candlelight vigil at Central High School, and her fellow cheerleaders released balloons in her memory in the following week's football game.
Yes.
They did. And Riley's friends, they became concerned with his well-being.
Right.
And following Emma's death, they told detectives a little secret that Riley had shared with a friend of his named Alex McCarty
Right.
the day after this
Kidnapping.
this alleged kidnapping. Yeah. What he was saying was that he was so fearful for his life that he had stolen his grandfather's gun
Yeah.
because of him being kidnapped.
Yeah, he had borrowed his grandfather's truck, and I think his grandfather kept that gun in that truck, and when he brought it back, it was gone.
The gun was gone.
Yeah, and the grandfather actually reported it stolen and said that he actually thought that Riley had stolen the gun, and he was afraid that he was going to hurt himself.
Yes.
So that's why he wanted to report it, and that's the only part. The only reason he said he thought Riley had taken it. He just wanted to make sure, he didn't want him to hurt himself.
Yeah. And this is when Alex McCarty, Riley's friend, told authorities that he had showed him the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, also, another friend told detectives that he had asked him how to get fingerprints off a gun.
Yes.
And this was all before the murder, well before the murder.
Yep. But he was telling him that he had the gun because he was so scared that people were out to get him.
Yeah, him and Emma.
Yeah. And that suicide was the farthest thing from his mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But his friends also told detectives that Riley had asked, like you said, to get fingerprints off a gun.
Correct.
So this was a little red flag for them.
Already, there's a whole bunch of flags popping up.
There's a lot of red flags.
When he asked him about getting the fingerprints off the gun, he goes, "Well, why are you asking me that? That's just weird. Why would you ask that?" He goes, "Well, I'm asking for my roommate." I thought it was weird too, but he just wanted to know how to get fingerprints off a gun.
Yep.
At this point, I don't know if the other kid knew he had the gun. He showed it to one, but I don't know.
He showed it to Alex McCarty, but
Noah
Walton.
Noah's the one he asked about the fingerprints, and he showed it to Alex. So I don't know that Noah knew he had the gun at this point.
I don't know if they had communicated on that level.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, he may have. They may all, because they're all pretty tight. So,
yes.
He may have known, but I don't know that for sure because it's never been explained thoroughly.
So the detectives getting this radar on Riley Gall, they bring him in for questioning.
Mm-hmm.
On that Monday.
Well, they figure they got to find out about this gun, and why not ask the only one who definitely would know where it was?
Yeah,
because they've already been told he had it.
Yep.
So
So they ask Riley when they bring him in about his whereabouts for the previous 72 hours.
Yeah.
And Riley said that he thought he had spent the Friday night at his friend Noah's house.
He thought he did.
He thought he did. Yeah.
Come on, man.
And during this 2-hour interrogation. Riley, he didn't refer to Emma by her name.
This is ridiculous.
He only called her the girl.
The girl.
The girl.
And detective goes, "Well, which girl?"
And the one that passed away.
And he goes, "Wait, well, what was her name?" And he goes, "Emma." I was like, wait a damn minute. You guys been dating for 2 years. You're in love. You're just dying. You done post 7,000 social media posts about how heartbroken and this and all, and that she's everything to you, and you refer to as the girl.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
These detectives are bright, man. They're brilliant because they're seeing that he's distancing himself from Emma.
They didn't even have to be bright to see this.
This is some good detective work.
Yeah.
But Riley had told detectives that he'd been trying to talk to Emma that weekend, but she wouldn't talk to him.
Mm-hmm. We said he had called her using somebody else's phone so she would answer, being a different number. And then she got mad and told him to block that number, and so he couldn't call her back.
Yeah.
So that probably really pissed him off, I figure.
Yeah, that's right. So they got to asking Riley some more questions about the gun. He said he didn't know anything about a gun. And it was this point the detectives knew that from Riley's friends that Riley had shown his friends his grandfather's gun.
Yes.
And Riley's grandfather, who kept the gun in his car, he, like you said, he had reported this 9mm handgun missing prior to Riley being questioned.
Well, they asked him, we talking about maybe he was at his friends or whatever, and when she blocked his number, he said he'd went back to college and cried for 2 or 3 hours.
That's what he said, yeah.
In front of the athletic center.
Yeah.
Said he had pulled over, and then that was be 30 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
And just said, he was talking about all this crying he was doing, and he said, but the whole time he was talking to them, he was just basically emotionless, just trying to get out his agenda here.
Yeah.
Tell him what's going on, and then that's when the part came up about the grandfather's gun.
Yeah, and detectives also asked Riley about the gun, and he told him he didn't know where it was, and he denied showing it to his friends. And
he said he didn't know why they would say that.
Yeah,
it wasn't true. Never happened.
And even denied asking another friend about removing fingerprints from the gun.
None of that ever happened.
No. Then the detectives asked to see his cell phone, and Riley asked him if he was a suspect.
Well, what he said is, I pray to God that you don't think I'm a suspect in this.
That's what he said, yeah.
I just couldn't never do that to her.
And they were like, should you be?
Should you be?
Gall continued to deny having anything to do with Emma's death.
Deny.
Denying everything. So after the questioning, Riley left the sheriff's office.
Yeah, they couldn't hold him. They didn't have enough on him.
No. And he was texting his friends, Noah and Alex, to not to speak to the police anymore.
Yeah, it's like, dang, dudes, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, don't talk to him anymore.
And he actually wanted them to go back and tell the police that they were on drugs when they made them statements and say they were out of their mind and it wasn't true.
That's right.
He asked them to do that.
So his buddies, his two friends, Alex McCarty and Noah Walton, they knew that Riley was lying to the authorities.
Yeah.
And this is when these two guys, they got with the police and they collaborated with them to help them lay a trap.
They wanted to help him trying to find that gun.
Yes.
Because that was the key to it all.
Yes. So on Tuesday night, this was just one day after Emma's murder, these detectives with these two friends of Riley's, they wired these two teens up with microphones, a transmitter, where the police could listen in and video everything that was going on.
Yeah, they had a hidden camera in a key fob that they gave him so that when he went in, he could just set it down and it'd be in the right place. And then they invited him to come over and play video games and hang out. So
just keep in mind, these two buddies of Riley's, they're only 18 years old.
Yeah, and this thing it was really odd. I've seen a couple of interviews, that said that afterwards, and they were talking to him about, what did you think about this and doing this, all this stuff, and what did your parents say? And they were like, we didn't have time to ask our parents.
They didn't have time.
Said basically it came together so fast because he wanted to hang out and we had talked to them. So time we got wired up, and it was kind of funny because one kid said that they put the microphone stuff in his coat and then he couldn't take his coat off all night. But yeah, they were ready. They went over and got wired up and they went and called him and said, come over and play video games and hang out.
Yep.
So that's what they did.
Yeah, Riley came over.
And he's filming and recording all this for I don't know, hours, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and the police were listening to all this.
Yes.
Yeah. And this when they decided to leave and they were going to get something to eat.
Well, before that, he was asking them, he said, listen, I'm putting my trust in you guys. We have to get rid of this gun. And he was really animate about getting rid of the gun. I'm like, well, why don't you just give the gun to the police and that'll prove it. We just got to get rid of it because I'm going to get, I'm going to get in trouble because they're going to pin this on me, a crime I didn't do, and I'm going to go to jail for 7 years for a crime I didn't do.
That's what he said.
So he was just animate, but they're like, we don't understand. If you didn't do it, why don't you get rid of it? I mean, why? And he didn't want to talk about it. He just like, you don't have to go with me if you don't want to, but I got to get rid of the gun. They're like, dude, we got your back, whatever you got to do. So now they're thinking, man, we ain't not just getting him to admit to the gun. We're going to go with him to get the gun and get rid of it. Meanwhile, all the undercovers are outside waiting to jump.
Yeah.
As soon as they see a gun.
Yeah. So they leave.
Right.
And they go by Riley's stepfather's house.
Correct.
Yeah. And Riley gets out of the car and he goes into the
basement. Tells him to
basement.
wait. Don't come.
He goes into the basement.
Right.
And he comes back out with some kind of a package.
It's a trash bag.
Yeah. And he gets back into the car and they're driving around.
Yeah, and they ask him about it, and he won't say nothing about it. They just get in. He said, "Let's go." Let's go. Well, he told them, when they were together and they were talking about getting rid of it, he wanted to take it to the bluffs and throw it in the Tennessee River.
Yeah, they said they'll never find it in Tennessee River.
We go way up on the bluffs, and the bluffs was like a place out in the woods, I'm assuming, where they all go and drink and do whatever out in the woods. Yeah. Things you do in the woods. And then you could throw it off there. It was kind of like on a big hillside, like I guess mountainous area where you could chunk it down in the Tennessee River and it'd be gone for good, which is probably right.
Yeah.
So that's where they were headed. So they went to get the gun, and then they were going to do that. So while they were going, but then they decided they was going to go get something to eat first.
They were going to make a detour, yeah.
Went to Cookout.
Yeah.
Which is I guess, is that a countrywide chain, Cookout?
I think it is. It's a burger joint.
Yeah.
They got all kinds of food and stuff.
They definitely have hush puppies that you can get chili and cheese on.
Yeah.
What did he say? I forget what he ordered. Some kind of
chicken. Double hush puppies with chili and cheese on them.
Yeah, chicken fajitas or something, and double hush puppies with chili and cheese.
Yeah, all these three guys. They're just hanging out.
Yeah, and and they said, well, go ahead.
Yeah, but when they were asked about this later, they said, well, we knew that this was going to be the last hoorah for all this, and they was just trying to make old times.
He was just trying to make it as normal as possible because this is the last time we're going to get to hang out together. And
they've
been friends forever,
They knew what was coming down.
Yeah.
These two 18-year-olds knew this, man.
And you'd have to be just scared to death.
Yeah.
That one kid he's talking about, he's like sitting in the back, going, oh, God, this is insane, and he didn't share them. And the police said it was basically all their idea. They were not coerced into doing this. They wanted to do it because it was just the right thing to do.
That's right.
They're the heroes here, So
they leave the Cookout, and then they go to the bluffs.
Yes.
And there's a
It was an apartment complex.
apartment complex there, yeah. And one of the boys had actually made deliveries there, so he knowed the
code to the gate.
the entry code. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it must have been a shortcut to the bluffs and behind those apartment complexes.
Could have been,
or
yeah.
something, yeah.
So they go in there, and that's when they're sitting there, and Riley pulls the gun out.
Well, first they ain't seen no gun because they, the kid is sitting in the back seat, or no, Riley was in the back, wasn't he? Yeah, Riley was in the back. One was driving, another guy. But anyway, one was texting. They was in a group chat with all the cops.
Yeah.
And he was letting them know we ain't seen anything yet. He won't show us the gun, blah, blah, blah. But he did see, when he started digging in that bag, he had put on some gloves, had on some white gloves, and he was pulling out a lot of black clothing.
Yeah.
But when he finally pulled the gun out, it wasn't Noah, it was the other one, right?
Alex McCarty.
Well, Alex actually took the gun from him and said, "Wow, this is a real gun."
Yeah.
And then he immediately snatched it back from him.
He took it right back quick.
And I'm like, right there, well, I would have dropped right there because I'm thinking he already killed somebody, or at least you think he has. Now he's got the gun in his hand. He's like, whoo.
Yeah.
But I guess at this point they had already sent the code word, whatever it was, to the group chat of the police, so they would swoop in immediately and take him in.
Yeah, when they did the code word, there was no swooped in. There was no swooping. The cops actually during this interaction, them going around to the cookout and different places, they lost them.
Yeah, for a while.
They lost track of them.
Yeah.
And then they finally caught back up with them at this apartment complex.
Yeah.
And they were sitting outside the gate.
Outside the gate.
And Alex and Noah could see the cops.
Yeah, the SUVs.
Out there. And when they texted the code word, there was no swooping in.
No swooping.
1 minute passed by. 2 minutes passed by.
You know that was probably like years sitting in that car.
Oh, yeah. What's going down, dude? Why ain't they coming? And just a little bit later, several minutes passed, the cops finally came in on
Right.
them.
I don't know if they couldn't get in the gate or what the problem was. And
Yeah.
that's possible, I guess. They couldn't get the code or something. I was like,
Yeah.
damn. But finally they show up.
Yeah, they show up, and then they order everybody out of the car.
Yeah, and you can hear one of the boys like, what the is going on? And, even though they knew the whole time, but he was playing it up well.
Yeah. So they ended up
They arrest Riley.
taking him in right then.
Take
Yeah.
him in with the gun and the bag full of clothes and all that stuff.
Yeah, so they got him. Yeah, they got him.
Yeah, there's all kind of stuff in that bag. There's like gloves, black clothes. It was even a pair of tennis shoes that were duct tape black.
All this black stuff that he'd had on when he went to Emma's house that day to try to scare her. Yeah.
Mhm. All that stuff was in that bag.
So Riley sat in jail for a while.
Yeah,
He sat in there for about 2 years.
yeah.
His trial didn't start till April the 30th of 2018. This was in the Knox County Criminal Court. And on May the 1st, right after the trial started, Emma's family took the stand to recount the day of the murder. Two of the family neighbors, the 911 call operator, took the stand and was telling everything that went on that day.
Right.
And on May the 2nd, the next day, 5 of Emma's friends testified about the day Riley lied about being kidnapped. They also mentioned that Emma had sent them a text shortly before she was killed describing a man dressed in black who had been near her home.
Mm-hmm.
And in the text, Emma said that she was scared and she thought she was going to die.
Right.
And his grandfather's and stepfather also testified at the trial. And Riley's grandfather confirmed that the gun was his 9mm Glock.
Right.
Yeah.
When they came in there, he denied. But as soon as they got into court, they got a big twist.
They did.
He came in and his attorney right off the bat said, yeah, he was there. He did it. But he didn't mean to kill nobody.
No.
He was just trying to scare her.
Yeah, that's what he said, yeah.
Yeah. I don't believe that for a
So
day.
he was trying to get the least possible conviction for his client.
So he just basically was trying to say it was accidental homicide, which would mean, I think, in Tennessee at that time, that's a 2 to 4 year sentence.
Yeah, which would be, nothing for him.
Right. So
Yeah.
basically what they're saying is he was trying to scare her so he could pull his White Knight performance again. But I think that's a load of crap.
Yeah. So where he shot into the house was just perfect right there where the head of her bed was.
Yes. And who's been in that bedroom for 2 years?
He has.
Right. Who knew the layout and know exactly where she would be.
He knew where her bed was, the way she slept, where she would be.
And the 2 bullets were the exact same height on the one from each side.
Yeah.
Was the same height, which basically, I don't know if he could have done it again to hit her exactly in the head because, outside the house and inside the house is a little bit different, as far as heights of if you're standing on the ground as far as being in the house, But, man, it was lined up perfect. And then actually for the second one, there was a fence there that came to the corner of the house. He would have had to go either around the fence or jump the fence to do the second shot.
Yes, he would have, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like he shot and walked around the corner and done it again. It was a lot to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's basically saying he didn't mean to do it, but I don't buy it at all. I think he knew exactly what it was because, we'll post a picture of the angles of where it was, and then it's like you tell me if it was accidental or not.
Yep. So, after 5 hours of deliberation, the jurors found Riley Gall, who was now 19 at the time,
Right.
guilty of first-degree murder, as well as stalking, theft, reckless endangerment, and being in possession of a firearm during a dangerous felony.
Yeah, so none of them bought it either.
No, none of the jury members.
They're like, yeah, we ain't believing this mess for nothing.
So, in the state of Tennessee, first-degree murder conviction carries an automatic life sentence.
Yep. Sorry, buddy.
And during his sentencing hearing, Riley, who did not speak during his trial, apologized to the Walker family for killing their daughter, but stuck by his defense that it was an accidental shooting. He said, "I'm sorry I took him away from you, that I robbed you of the experience of watching your daughter grow up, and what can I do to tell the truth about that night? I wanted to scare her." That's what he said. "I never meant to take Emma's life. Again, I am sorry." That's what he was saying. Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
But he did get 51 years, and he's tried to appeal his case
Several
a few
times.
times, yes, saying that some evidence wasn't entered correctly and trying to get things reduced, but it's never been.
It's not working.
It's
And
never.
He's about out of appeals, I believe.
That's right. Yeah. Saying it was insufficient evidence, but all this stuff was denied.
Yeah, so, think about it. If he's 19, he's going in there, he won't be eligible for parole till he's like 70.
Yeah. Yeah. But Emma, man, this girl, time for her murder, she was on her way up to doing things, and she left a pretty good legacy behind, even though she was only
Those short
16 years old. Yeah. The Health Occupation Students of America and the cheerleading squad at Central High School, they established a scholarship in Emma's name, and they called it the Emma Walker Memorial Scholarship. And also there in Knox County, Tennessee, there's a dog park that was named in Emma's honor, and it's called the Emma Jane Walker Memorial Dog Park.
How cool is that?
Yeah, and there was one more thing that's just amazing.
Yeah.
The East Tennessee Children's Hospital, this is the neonatal intensive care unit, the NICU there, they actually dedicated a room in honor of Emma.
Yeah, her name is on the door, when you go in, yeah.
Because that was her passion.
That's
She was
what she
wanting
wanted
to be
to do,
a NICU nurse. That's what she was wanting to do, man. So this girl had so much future ahead of her, and it was just taken by a guy that was just so damn possessive.
Couldn't let it go, man.
Yeah, couldn't let it go.
And it's crazy if you think about it. I mean, he was at college and all these other girls, he just couldn't let this one go.
No.
Because it wasn't on his terms.
Exactly. But we just want to tell everybody, if you're in some kind of relationship and it's not going the way you want to, get out of it.
And if you have all your friends, and your parents, and everybody's telling you the same thing, but you can't see it, you need to back away a little bit and look a little harder.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people on the outside can see stuff you can't when you're being mesmerized by a narcissist that just tells you whatever he wants to tell you and keeps you away from everybody else and tells you can't see your friends and cuts you off from everybody. So basically, you can only rely on them. Something's wrong.
There's no shame in backing out of it.
No.
Listen to your friends. Listen to your family.
Right.
Yeah. If they're telling you one thing, listen to them.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. If you're in a situation that you're not comfortable with, get out of it.
Yeah, and then, that's one of the big things from this story. That's what her parents do, and then they try to get, they've like a foundation set up for that to help people get out of or really be able to see what an unhealthy relationship is.
Educate young folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the One Love Foundation.
Yeah, awesome. But it's just sad, man.
It is.
But Riley's is where he's going to be.
Yeah, he ain't going nowhere.
Nope. All right, bud. That is the murder of Emma Walker, man. Sad.
Sad.
All right, bud. We're going to get out of here, man.
All right, let's roll.
We want everyone to be safe. Please be careful and always be aware of your surroundings.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is the Crack House Chronicles.